Yeah, we'll go back. Now you can give your...
Now, Denise, you have to get... That is the way to drink coffee.
I thought I would do a couple biographical type interview questions, just so you get to know the Atchleys a little bit. They are former members, and 15 years since you've been here. It doesn't seem that long, but it has been. And I'll throw in that sort of the transitional event in your lives. I think when you left here is you went and lived in Kenya for...
That's right.
And work for Samaritan's Purse. So you've had that's sort of your stake in the ground for really having invested overseas already at this point. But Mark, tell us just real brief, where'd you grow up? Where are you from?
Okay.
I don't know that answer.
Well, I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, which is roughly the area where we live now. Born and raised. Went to the University of Tennessee. I am a Vol.
Somebody has to.
Right, yes.
Doris, you're not alone.
Okay. And then came here for grad school.
Okay.
So.
Okay. That's good. And Denise?
And I was born in Lima, Peru, but I'm not really a missionary kid. Mark called me a missionary baby because at 2 we moved to Pennsylvania, and then my dad was pastor all my growing up years. And from there I came down to South Carolina to go to what was then known as Columbia Bible College, now CIU. And then I went into nursing, and then I came here to this church through the influence of Dr. Victoria Giles at that time, because she and I worked in the emergency room together at Lexington, and she told me about this church, and she said, it is meat and potatoes for the soul. And I thought, I need to check this place out. So I started coming to First Pres.
And then my next question is, how'd you all meet?
And we met.
In the singles.
The
The singles group.
That's
right. So the church brought us together. I told you about. I'm going to get started. No, you just don't go. Secrets. Okay, but this is not a secret. I'm going to do a quick demo. Now, some of you who have enjoyed coffee, what is it called? The Bridge? Is that where the coffee place is? Are already familiar with pour-overs. This Chemex, probably 60-some years old. I mean, I want to say it was the 40s or 50s when a scientist came up with that perfect brewing method. And essentially, we start with, these square filters, round filters. I'll just use the round. But this is really the key to a Chemex. So it'll all make sense in a little bit. The key to a Chemex is the paper. It's a heavier filter paper, so that, and hopefully we're good here. I'm going to get that one going too. So that it, basically what brewing does is it pulls out acids from ground coffee. The filter helps to, one, keep the grounds from getting in your coffee, but it also, in some ways, limits the kinds of... Do we have a garbage? Where is that? Yep. Limits you don't get the full brunt of all the acids that it will pull out, so it produces a nice clean cup. All right, so what I'm going to do, and I think we can do it since I got about 2 water kettles. I'm going to try to do a fairly big batch for this size maker. In craft coffee, artisan coffee, third wave coffee, you can call it any number of names. It is about excellence, beauty, The excellence comes with handcrafting a cup of coffee. And so I'm going with 50 grams. But we've tried to be precise because we want the perfect cup. This is not just some haphazard thing. It's kind of art and science combined. The beauty part of it is when you taste it. And it's exactly what it should be. Oh, yeah. This is a gorgeous coffee. It is Guatemalan and produced on a very small cooperative in the Antigua area by Mayans. These are the descendants of Mayan, indigenous folk. They still speak their Quechuan. I believe that's how we pronounce the name. And they have for years felt kind of disenfranchised from the rest of the more, Spanish Guatemalans, until a fella named Les Stoneham came down and began working with these folks to help them make more money through their coffee production. He organized them. He helped them build a wash station, and they're now. They're better able to feed their families. It's quite a program. Anyway, they produce wonderful stuff, and I'm very excited to get to share it with you. That's part of the thing about specialty coffee. It's really an emphasis on quality from seed to cup, and lives. Changing lives. It's not just you, the consumer, enjoying a nice cup of coffee. It is the people who grow it. So specialty coffee, who cares? Right? But it really is something. I think hopefully you'll appreciate that this is a wonderful coffee. It's also kind of a fad these days. I shouldn't say a fad, because fad has the idea of it comes and goes. This is a trend which is, I think, here to stay. The appreciation of coffee. I was explaining to a group on Friday that in the United States, we are in a third wave of coffee. And what I mean by that is if the first wave was canned coffee, maybe even Maxwell House, Folgers, you remember the cans and then the vacuum-packed bags, and it produced hot brown liquid. That's about all you could say, and our taste buds adjusted, and that was fine, I guess. But then Pete's and Starbucks came along, and there's something different about coffee. Actually, it's not just some hot brown liquid. Actually, we can have cappuccinos and lattes and whatnot in the States. We'd few places that made them. Now it's everywhere. So we enjoy this second wave of coffee. This third wave is where there's a greater interest in the origin of the coffee. So this is a Guatemalan coffee. It's not an Ethiopian, and the two are completely different and would taste the same. So, and even farms in Guatemala, it doesn't all taste the same. There are varietals. So much like wine, you can pick a coffee and you just appreciate it for what it is. And so that's the aim of third wave coffee, to help people appreciate just the wonder of it. So again, why all this? Well, you'll see this is what we want to do in Greece. We want to do third wave coffee, not just because it's cool and it tastes good, but because in Greece there is an emerging interest in this coffee process, and but it's just not there in abundance. Coffee shops galore, hundreds, probably maybe even as much as 1,000 in Athens alone, and yet there's probably less than 20 specialty coffee shops that would do a pour over like this. So we're kind of on the cusp of something great. And I'm going to turn that off. It looks like that was enough water, and I didn't even need that. We may use that later. All right, so I'm going to let that go. And Denise, once this comes down, why don't you throw that in the trash, and then you can start serving up some of these. And we can go ahead and get that video going. All right, so first thing, grease. I'll give you just a little indication as to why grease. One is our church is partnering with the church that you're going to see here in this video. It's the Greek Evangelical Church. It has been around about 150 years. It was planted by Southern Presbyterian missionaries in the mid-1800s, not long after Greece had gained independence from the Ottoman Empire. At that time, well, and really up until the late 90s, early 2000, this Greek Evangelical Church was on the fringe, with other Protestants marginalized. We're partnering with our church is partnering them. We had no idea that we would be going to Greece. We were looking at other places, but then with our church's partnership, our missions pastor said, "Well, hey, would you consider going to Greece and working with Yodis?" Now, that was completely out of the blue, but it seemed like, oh yeah, I think we'll pray about that and explore it for sure. Denise and I had seen this video several years later, because that conversation happened in 2016. In 2013, we had attended a PCA Global Missions Conference in Greenville, South Carolina. This guy spoke, Yoda spoke, you'll see his face here in a second. And we were kind of like, oh, work is cool, this guy is cool. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could be a part of it? But we don't really know how we would fit in. At that time, coffee really wasn't even on the table. In terms of
Not on your table.
It wasn't on my, and that's ready. On my radar. I'm not good at puns, so if it comes out, it's just it's an accident, okay? Yes. So you can just do this like that, and that's good. Okay, now this is not weak coffee. So be prepared. But just look for notes of fruit in it, okay? It's not a natural process. This is.
I'm the official
Guinea pig?
taster for the king, right?
Okay, yes. It won't kill you. I promise.
Cupbearer, yeah, you're our cupbearer.
Cupbearer, there we go.
Yeah. Well, now I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway, that's okay. Maybe there will be a time to explain, but this guy, Yodis Kansarsis, he writes to our missions pastor and says, the Greek economy is really horrible. I mean, we're in the midst of a crisis. The government is bankrupt and it's ruined everything. So we're really in a pinch, but the one industry that is working is coffee. And one of their interns is actually training baristas. He offers I think it's a 10-week course, gives a certification, Barista 1 certification. With that, they can get jobs, better paying jobs than they could if they didn't have it. And actually baristas, it's a good job in the economy because everyone is still going to coffee shops.
And you just meet so many people.
So the idea was, hey, you guys are interested in coffee. The Greeks are doing coffee right there. Maybe there's a fit. And as it turns out, there really is. And we'll go into that. Why don't we go ahead and start that video and we'll...
I remember 1999, like 16 years old. I remember when we were out in the street and doing like street evangelism in a port. I remember that me and another guy, we got arrested in 1999. After the Olympic Games in Athens, I think this has changed a lot. And the reason is, what is happening is that probably you know that for the most Americans to hear about postmodernism is like a threat, but to countries like Greece, where you have like dominant religions and authoritative religions, postmodernism gives you, like, for the very first time, the chance to stand down and speak aloud without to be persecuted or to be arrested.
My name is Yotis Kandartsis. I'm the pastor of the First Greek Evangelical Church in central Athens, downtown Athens, right at the foothill of Acropolis, not very far the church from Mars Hill where Paul preached. Everybody knows Greece, and this is our problem, you know. I've been to 2 churches, one in Memphis and the other in Orlando, and I said we have the same problem, because everybody thinks of Memphis, they think of Elvis, or when they think of Orlando, they think of Disney World. And most people, when they think of Athens, they think of dead people like Socrates, Plato, history, or the islands. And it takes some time to really convince them that, Athens is the city with a lot of opportunities, suffering, many immigrants, and a very tiny minority of evangelical believers who try to be a witness.
It's very exciting to be here at this point in time. Athens, Greece has half the people, half the population of the whole nation in Athens and in her suburbs. We're part of a team that has a vision to plant churches all around the 6 million people population of Athens. We're in direct partnership with Yotis, and our stance is that we're here to help him fulfill the vision that God has given him. It's just a joy to come and work with the national partner and to be able to follow the vision that God has given him, which is a vision we agree with fully, to be in partnership with a church that is so close to the PCA. That's a privilege, that's a joy. And to be not so afraid that we'll make major cultural mistakes, because we're following people in the culture, of the culture.
We have this huge city. How do we reach out? We're so few. What do? The obvious thing is church planting. We need to plant new churches. We are a congregation of about 300 people. So a particular Sunday, we accepted 30 new members. We were really convicted, and the Lord brought these people, and that particular Sunday, we announced that we will send away 30 people from our congregation to a new area in order to start a new congregation, and this is the congregation in Glyfada. Then, as we're trying to see what are the opportunities and what are the most sensitive nerves of the city, we felt compelled to focus on an area which is called Exarchia, which is the anarchist capital of Athens, Europe, and perhaps the world. A very vibrant place. All the riots start from there. The most safe place to go when there are riots is Exarchia, because everybody's gone.
My name is Alexandros Pipilios, and I'm from Athens, Greece.
My name is Tim Kumar. I'm a Greek Sri Lankan Brit, and now I live and work in Athens as a church planter in the neighborhood of Exarchia, where we are right now.
In 2013, everybody that is talking about Exarchia in the news, in the newspapers, everywhere, they have only something bad to say. What a blessing to have a church to say we bless Exarchia, and we really want to touch Exarchia, and we really want to be inspired also by some of the things that are going over here in God's common grace.
The moment they see you as someone who is coming as a Christian and being open about that, and not just as a Christian believer, but as a Christian minister who wants to open a new church in their neighborhood, when they see that you're not hiding that, they are actually intrigued, because maybe they feel that you should be hiding it,
They have the questions, and they never satisfied with wrong answers. So they're always into this struggle. I prefer to live here than any other neighborhood that they have found, some fake answers.
It'll take something more than...
My name is Stefanos Michalios, and we have come here in Greece with my wife about a year. We are serving at the Greek Bible College, but at the same time we are partnering with the First Church, a church that is very active and have a vision for church planting, and our heart is to see churches being planted, and we are trying to see a church being planted here in this area, the area of Kypseli.
We had this festival for kids to build trust in the neighborhood just 2 weeks ago. And we saw kids of all different color, you know, Iraqis, Albanians, Afghans, you know, Nigerian kids all coming together playing games with us. And for the first time, the parents started coming around that circle of kids in the center games and all the activities. And you could see parents smiling. And one woman commented, "We have never seen our kids play like this with each other." And that was healing. And I think that God is going to come with His word and bring healing. And we're excited. We don't know exactly what it is, but if you can think of how you want to come help serve, oh, there's a gazillion things that you could do. I mean, the sky's the limit in Kypseli, and not only in Kypseli.
We sometimes run out of hands, you know, we don't have many hands. So we are more than exciting to have people coming over here for different reasons. First of all, to do things that we cannot do it on our own because we're just a few people. And the second thing is also to encourage people. You know, when you are only 30,000 in an 11 million, 12 million people country, when you see other people sharing the same faith, you know, and being over here and talking with you, that's really encouraging.
I think that a lot of people, when they see Greece on the news, they may comment on economy, or they see the violence and the riots and stuff. I would like to encourage the Church of God in the United States and in Europe and abroad. Whenever you see a country on the news, think of your brothers and sisters who are there and trying to be the kingdom of God, the city of God and the city of man, and pray for them, pray for that country. We are so humbled and moved seeing brothers and sisters from the States or from abroad to really care about what the Lord is doing here. And we don't take that for granted.
Okay, so that was a Mission to the World video. The Luthers, who are from this church, I believe. Or,
no, their son is a member.
Okay.
Jason.
Well, they're with MTW, and they're obviously you saw them. I got to meet them, spend some time this past October when I was there. We're not with MTW though. We're with Team, the Evangelical Alliance Mission. And I'll just say that one of the reasons we chose Team was because of a familial connection. Denise mentioned that she was born in Peru. Her parents were missionaries with Team there. Her mother was born in Venezuela. Two missionaries, Team missionaries, who lived there most of their adult lives and had a long, lengthy ministry. So, yeah, we can.
First play.
Oh, well, I don't know.
On your new slide.
Yeah, if you maybe.
Well, there's a play button somewhere. I don't know.
Oh, try this one.
That
See
one?
if that works.
This one?
Yes.
There you are. Maybe.
Hopefully. There we go. And that's a good place to start.
Okay.
So we're with Team, not MTW, but there are a number of MTW missionaries. There will be a second Team family on the ground. There's the Mihalios family there with Reach Global. So because Protestant Christians, there's roughly 30 to 40,000 of them in a population of 10 to 11 million. Because there are so few of them, they really tend to work together a little better. Not perfectly, but certainly the missionary community, it's just all hands on deck. We do what needs to be done, and we work together, and I think it's really kind of cool. But they are a small, and as I mentioned, have been historically persecuted minority. Up until apparently in '99, they were still arresting Protestants for proselytization. That doesn't happen today. Yeah, there's more freedom, so we're not worried about having any problems like that. But as it was communicated in that video, because they're small numbers, to really welcoming people to come, inviting others to come and help them do this large job. Now, that video was filmed in 2013, long before the refugee crisis really peaked, which was fall of 2015. Things just got worse. The economy was still horrible, but then it got exacerbated by, and we'll see this number, lots and lots of people coming, really crossing over from Turkey. But at any rate, there's great need for the gospel there. And you might say, well, okay, 97% Eastern Orthodox. Why? What's the big deal? Okay, so even if we can be generous with our Orthodox brothers and sisters, I mean, obviously we have our doctrinal differences, okay? And we don't need to elaborate on all those. But much like the States, there are people leaving the church in droves. They don't even attend anymore. I mean, they're nominally Eastern Orthodox or Greek Orthodox. They're baptized in the church. Maybe they're married in the church if they get married. Maybe a priest comes and says something at a funeral. But that's about it. What they're lacking is that personal relationship with Jesus Christ, which many who are in this country lack as well. And there are some who I'm sure are Baptists and Presbyterians and Lutherans and Episcopals and whatnot who would fit that same description. So obviously we have a mission field here just as there, but they're this small group of people. I mean, okay, so it's proportionately so much different than the States. We have genuine Christians in nearly every city, multiple churches where you can faithfully hear the word. That's just really not the case in Greece. So they do need help. And given that they're this kind of marginalized group, it's not the kind of place, their churches where they meet are really not the places where your typical Greek, or your immigrant for that matter, are going to go check it out on a Sunday morning. Oh, I think I'll go check out the local Protestant church. I mean, when they're viewed as a sect. So how do you evangelize? How do you tell people about Christ? It is really fundamentally through personal, relational evangelism. That's how it's done. We meet people, they talk to people, they get invest in their lives, and then they share what is most important to them, Christ, and invite them to Bible studies and meet them at coffee shops. And so the thing you need to know about Greece is that this is where they live. I'm serious. I mean, so they may not sleep there, but they spend as much time at a cafe as anywhere else. It is such a part of their culture, much more so than it is here. We may go drive through Starbucks or your favorite other coffee place. You know, it's a grab and go, or maybe you meet someone someplace, but maybe you're just as apt to invite them to your home or whatever. This is where they meet. This is where they experience community. It's at the cafe. And so then if the Greeks are going to go find people, meet new people, it's usually going to be here. It's these watering holes. And so this is what they do. Now, you may say, let me backtrack and just say, is this real? I mean, they're having an economic crisis. You've got massive unemployment.
So they have time.
Well.
Oh, I set you up.
Yeah, okay, so this is from February, just last month. And they're talking about baristas and how this is really a good job for people. Which kind of goes back to that intern who's offering these classes. He's really doing a a tremendous ministry for these folks because they're looking for these jobs. Yeah, look at that. I've got €3 in my pocket and 2 or 3 hours to spend, and they will do it. This is telling. After all, having your first coffee with your friends or significant other at a cafe is like a rite of passage for every young Greek. They'll spend more time in a coffee shop than their workplace. Well, even if you're unemployed, that makes sense, right? But, so, you know, will they, in another place in the article, he follows this sentence up with saying, so you just need to get a few more. I mean, not one student with €3 in his pocket isn't going to keep your business open. But hundreds of people who really experience life here, you can make money. You can make money. But the key, because these are Ely, it's Italian. I mean, so... And it's everywhere. Sure, they've got Italian roasts and German. That by far is the most common. But there are some wonderful, and not many, but a handful or less of these wonderful Greek coffee roasters. So you can get a home roasted coffee that's not being imported from Italy or Germany. That's of this quality. So what we want to do is we want to set up a shop that is not just like everyone else, but it's serving really special coffee, and that'll be our distinguishing factor. Because we do have to attract people to this shop to get those €3 and more. Now, here's how they're using coffee shops and even bookstores, and where these guys are sitting. Look at that. I have no idea what they're doing. Looks like they're sitting on the shelf. But anyway, so this program ministry right here, Imago Dei, the emphasis there is to bring a biblical worldview into the issues of life and society. So they've talked about sexuality. They've talked about this immigrant problem and humanitarian relief and what is the role of they've talked about very serious stuff like Batman and how comics really project life values and so anyway, but they have these conversations with usually it'll be a couple guys and then a crowd gathers. Now they're advertising it, but they have people come around and listen to this discussion, and then they can participate in it. And it's being effective. This right here was a meeting of, I don't know if you can read that, but Blueprint is a new initiative that the church is doing to engage people who are interested in business. So they'll bring someone like Andrew Corr, who's a former Silicon Valley guy who worked with PricewaterhouseCoopers and small business startups. That was his specialty. Now he's teaching at one of the local universities, I believe in ethics classes. He has his PhD in ethics. But these were just, a number of these people were people either in business or interested in business. This is me, I'm interested in business. And you can barely see me, but that is me. I arrived, it was a horrid travel. What was supposed to take like 20 some hours took supposed to take like 14 hours, took like 20 hours, and included lost luggage and everything. And so I finally get picked up and arrive, and I'm taken to this meeting, and it was fun actually. I enjoyed it. Once I got there, even without the luggage, it was nice. They're using the space is the whole point. They're using these public spaces because they will invite people to their churches, but they're more apt to get people in a non-religious space for these kinds of discussions and then just relationship building.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How likely are other cafe owners to open up their home for this type of group meeting?
Now, since you're not there yet.
Right. Well, they will because they want the money, so they're not going to turn anything away. But I will say that when I arrived, okay, so I've been there twice. This past October and then May the year before. And on that first trip, we arrive Saturday, we show up to church Sunday, there's a special speaker, and there's a group there from campus ministry, International Fellowship of Evangelical Students. Mm-hmm. And one of them, after the service, is asking me, what we're doing there. So I tell them what our church is doing there, and then I tell them what I'm doing there, which is scouting out things to see if a coffee shop would really work, if I could do this. And she says, "Oh, you got to meet Jonathan." So Jonathan comes over. Both these people are Brits working in Greece in campus ministry, and Jonathan says, I really want to talk to you about this. Later we meet. He says, my wife and I have dreamed of having a coffee shop. I literally dreamed of it because we think it'd be so effective for ministry. We use these spaces, and they're doing campus ministry, so it's not kind of that older adult crowd. It's younger people. They use coffee houses for outreach events and certainly for one-on-one discipleship, just meeting someone for a coffee. But when they hold these events, it's probably a bit more overt in its Christian emphasis and its message than a Blueprint meeting or even a Imago Dei meeting. And so the implication was they could use the space, but they weren't as welcome as if it was their own, and they wanted their own kind of space. And so when I was coming, or told him, this is what I want to do, he goes, it's like a dream come true. We had this idea, this dream, and thought it would just continue to be so. But we would love to have that space and a place where anyone could come and feel welcome, but at the same time a place where we could come and feel welcome to do what we want to do. A place that understands our ministry and supports it. It is important to them. That is a distinction. And so having a place for whether it's campus ministry or the Blueprint and whatnot is important. One of the first church plants there in Athens met at a Starbucks. This was a Starbucks that had 2 levels. And they would meet in the upper level on a Sunday and have their group meeting. And when they prayed, Yodis, now he adds humor to everything he says, but he said something to the effect of, we would pray with our eyes open so that people wouldn't think that we were really weirdos. I mean, I can't remember exactly the way he described it, but he's like, so they weren't in a space where they felt that they could do what they wanted to do, and because again, their Protestant practice is different than Orthodox. I mean, Orthodox is so ritualistic. Okay, so. Third Wave Coffee. This is an article that recently appeared in In-Flight magazine, Aegean Air. And just note, Athens' thirst for third wave coffee. This is something that is emerging in Greece. I mean, you've got those Ely shops everywhere. The third wave coffee, what we've done this morning, is new, and it's growing. There's a growing interest and demand. So I really think from a business perspective, this coffee shop has a lot of potential to be a financial success, but also to attract people to it. And this is kind of what we do. I did a Chemex. This is a Colita. That right there, if you've never had it, it's nitro. It's not Guinness, although it kind of looks like Guinness. You got the same kind of thick, velvety... That's coffee. Yummy deliciousness. It is. It's coffee. And it's from the tap. Trendy, and it's great. We serve it in our shop. That is just in 2017 reached Greece, and we were in the States. It's been around for a while. Our shop was doing it in 2015. So we're ahead of the curve, and we can continue to be ahead of the curve in Greece, and I think that's, again, to our advantage. This is a quick article by Faith Magazine's PCA publication, just talking about craftsmanship and how what people want more and more is handcrafted products, products that are made with excellence and beauty, and how this really reflects how we are made in the image of God. We appreciate beauty and excellence because that's how He made the world. And He is this master craftsman, and we just come along like Him, like children following in the footsteps of their Father. And so we too create or make, not create in the same way He did, obviously, but we create new stuff, and it should be good. So that's what we want to encourage. And it was really neat that this article came out, and I had this conversation with Yorgos in Greece, because they're wanting to get more engaged with these immigrant communities and start doing some handicraft stuff, which is right up my alley. So it kind of fits. We could have a shop called Craft, where we're all about handcrafted products, handcrafted coffee, and then other things. And these are some statistics which I will come back to. Like, could be rugs or pillows, could be purses and bags. Threads of Hope, it's a ministry to women who are seeking to leave the sex trade. Big problem there in Greece. And that is a Christian ministry. This other is just a UN, but it shows that there is an emphasis on getting refugees to use their hands to make presents. Many artisans of various sorts have been displaced by war, economic crisis, and whatnot, and so you find skilled people who just need an opportunity to make something and earn a living in a respectful, dignified way for their family. Let me go back to this. This is another ministry. I mean, you got several coming out from the church. They really are seeking to do a lot of things for people. So this at-home ministry is directed at immigrants specifically. So they have language school. They do cultural nights, but they want to do business seminars teaching people how to do things. So I think it's going to fit right in with what they want to do. Just quickly, immigration into Greece over the past several years. In 2014, negligible. But look at that. There were 1 million people that entered into Europe in 2015. Over 850,000 of them went through Greece. And look at this number. 41% of all those are Syrian. And I'll tell you that it's only the Syrians that are being allowed into the rest of Europe because of they actually have refugee status rather than immigrant status. So the rest are stuck. And what are they going to do? You've got over 1 million people there, maybe not quite 1 million, 60% of that number, who either they go back to Turkey or they go back to Afghanistan or wherever they came from, or they got to assimilate and they've got to find Greece as their new home. So we need to do something for them. And so God is doing some wonderful things in Greece.
You show this everywhere?
I do, yes, and I just came up with this for when was it? Yesterday. I gave it to Doug. Yeah, I steal photos. I'm shameless about that. Images, whatever I need. This client, you recognize where this is? This room. If Doug had sent me this picture, I had to crop off the part that had Jeff Allers on it. Anyway, so the whole point is that God is doing some really terrific stuff in Greece and is going to continue to do it. There's need, as that video expressed, for people to come and do all sorts of things. And so we're answering that call with something that we feel is very appropriate for that specific culture. A coffee shop, a third wave coffee shop, and more than a coffee shop plus artisan market to address immigrants. And so we're just asking if people want to get involved with what God is doing and how He's specifically calling us to, and really partner with us, partner with the Greek church there in Athens to do some amazing things. And so that's us. That's a prayer card. We're going to change these pictures, update them. The kids change from time to time. But anyway, we appreciate the opportunity to share this vision with you. And if in the minutes that remain, if there's any questions.
And if you want to follow the Atchleys, there's an email sign up, I think. And sheets of information. Oh, you handed those out, I think. So this is actually very fascinating. Thank you for that. I drink my coffee with cream, and this didn't come with cream, but it was really good.
Good.
So
I'm glad. Yes.
I might be a convert.
That is the way to drink coffee.